All right, troops. Michael, good to see you, my man. How you getting on?
Good to see you there.
I'm
getting along all right. I'm getting along all right.
Good man. Well, devoured some scran, as I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely a wise move until you wind up in my situation where I'm like, I am absolutely skint. I will just I'll look at my Weetabix and then pretend I'm eating it. Was it they call it in we call that in college, you call it like your sense memory. I'm like, yes, I sense it in their memory of food.
Yeah, I don't know. I studied TV production, not fucking psychology.
Well, in fairness, like that actually leads me into the first question, which is about your origin story, because that's the one thing we've all got in common is that we all have an origins. So, Michael, for my audience, please tell me your origin story.
So, well, I mean, I grew up in Tollcross in the East End of Glasgow, and I mean, like I didn't start comedy long after I left school. So I was like, I went to my primary school, I did my secondary school. A lot of mental shit happened in my secondary school, but that was never really a focus of my comedy. I was always just sort of telling jokes. I think the reason why I got in it is because like when I was in secondary school, I ended up taking this intro to mechanical engineering course because I was just like, that'll get me money when I'm older. So I did that during fifth year, and then I dropped, and then I didn't attend the rest of that course, and I was just like, oh, I really need to figure out what I want to do because I hate school. I can't stay in school for any longer.
Yeah,
and and I really didn't like that thing. So I was just like, what do I like? What could I actually sit down and listen to and enjoy myself doing it? And then I was like, I used to make like YouTube videos and all that sort of stuff when I was younger.
yeah.
Used to make me video edits on my computer and all of that stuff like that. So I was just like, all right, TV production, working TV, that would be pretty cool. And when I was on that course, I met this guy Paul Matt. And he's a Canadian man, 27 years old, and he was on the Glasgow comedy scene for a bit. Sadly, he's back in Canada now. But he was on the circuit for a bit, and I remember one of my classmates ended up telling me that he does stand up, and I was like 17, and I walked up to him and I was like, "Oh, you do stand up? That's really cool. I really love stand up. It's something I've been really into my whole life, but I just never knew how you'd go about like doing it." So and then I went and then he just told me to start writing. So I did. I started writing. He was just like, whatever you think's funny, write it down. And I did that for a while. And then one day just says, oh, I've got an opening free on a show March this year, 28th of March, 29th. He said he had an opening on a show at the 142B Lounge, and I pure went up. I wasn't ready at all, but I was like, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I went up with my phones, read my notes, and I was like pure shaking the whole time. Did all right, and I just got a pure buzz for that, and I've just no stopped since. I've been gone for about April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. It's coming up for 8 months, and doing my 80th gig next Sunday.
Wow. Well, in that short space of time doing that many gigs, like that's really, really good, man. Well, if you just been were you just like, once you got the bug, you were just like, okay, I am just gonna hammer this shit and just really, really get as many gigs as I can.
It was a slow wee build. It was a slowish build up at first, and I wasn't counting my gigs. And then I got to a level where I was like, I should probably start counting these. And I was like, all right, I know I've done at least 20. So that was between March and June. June first, I was like, I've done at least 20. So I started the counter for there, and then leading up to the Fringe, I did a bunch of like wee compilation shows during the Fringe because I was getting to know people, and then just after the Fringe, I was just sort of like, by then it was just like, I'm just getting as many gigs as possible, and like people were starting to know me, so I could just get booked as much as I could, and I was doing like 3 gigs a week. Sometimes multiple gigs in the one day, and it was just like something because it was just something pure. I just can't help myself. Whenever I've got the time to get a day a gig, I'll go there. I just love it.
Aye, no, definitely, man. Like, and like, do you say, like, did you do the Fringe this year?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have my own show or anything like that. I was just cropping up through compilation shows, but I do plan on
Uh,
getting my own show from X Fringe because I've got one for the Glasgow Comedy Festival.
oh, nice. Well, how did you find, like, doing the Fringe this year? Like, jumping for, like, the different compilation shows here and there. Like, was it just that someone would say we need a slot filled and you'd go? What was the kind of process around it?
I mean, so there was Alex McNeil was running a show called Rude Cookies, and he knew me and he thought I
Mm,
was good, so I got a couple of dates on there. And then like some other shows that I've been on dotted through here, and it's just sort of stuff like, yeah, there's a wee dropout, you need to fill in a space, or just like it's sort of a sign up thing, and you got through the sign up. The Fringe this year, honestly, it was a lot quieter than I thought it would be.
mm,
Uh, you don't like see a lot of the standalone shows that are doing like Glasgow or in Edinburgh. They usually track in maybe an audience than a lot of the shows that you're in the Fringe,
mm.
especially if you're just doing wee compilation shows and all that. Does not mean that it's absolutely not worth it, because what also comes with that is all the comedians that you'll meet, and even if you don't have a lot of people in a room, there'll be other comedians there who see your show, and maybe they'll have their show one day and they'll want to bring you on, or
Yeah.
like it's about your attitude and all that, just interacting with people.
Aye, and Alex is a good guy. Like I've done a wee gig with him, and I've had him on the show as well. And he did actually mention you as well. Like one of the kind of up and comers that he was quite excited about, which I was like, fair dues. Like I'm an old fart compared to you. Like I'm just like I do this stuff, and if I do it, I do it. But let's talk about like your film and TV production side of it. Like so, have you still got the channels running that you had, or have they kind of hit the back
Um,
burner?
I've not uploaded to YouTube in recent history, just because it was something I did for fun when I was younger, and I thought I was on it. And then I'm such an idiot. I deleted like all the videos when I went into secondary school. I should have just privated them,
Hmm.
because I would have loved to have go back and watch them, but I deleted them.
Yeah.
And then and there's some reminiscence you can still find on YouTube, my channel from when I was 7, 10 years ago now, where I uploaded my first ever videos. No, wait, 11 years ago. I'm 18 now. Um,
Well, many happy returns for 18th.
yeah, thank you. But like, yeah, no, and you can still find reminiscence of that sort of stuff. But I just thought, if I'm going to be putting stuff on YouTube, it's I want it to be like content sort of worth it, and stuff that sort of shows off the stuff I've been doing in TV production. But it's just
Yeah.
like between like just doing it for college and the stand up and all that sort of stuff, I've not really landed on something yet.
Yeah.
But it's something I'm interested in getting back into.
Well, what was it like obviously doing YouTube from quite a young age? Because like from my side, like I've got twin boys and they're 5 years old. And they love like YouTube. Like I don't let them on like the grown up YouTube because I'm like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to get done by social services. You know what I mean? But they watch like the YouTube Kids stuff and that. And there's people
Mm.
in there because they've just started primary, and there's ones that are like primary 7 going into high school, and they do YouTube channels and stuff as well. And there's a considerable age gap between us. I mean, you're 18, I'm 36. I am literally a whole person that can drink older than you. What? What? Literally, in that sense, like I am that guy. I am Richard from Friends. Where he goes, yeah, the whole person is like I said, it's Scottish version. But what was it? What's it like for like the younger generation doing it? For guys like me, like we take a bit more time when we're trying to do things. We're like, that technology boom passed us by just, and we're like, what the fuck? So you've got all this kind of stuff at your disposal, which can be a blessing and a curse in some ways. But how did you find it? Like, did you just be like, if I just record a few seconds on your phone or something mental, upload it, see what happens, and then
Well, yeah, I mean, like, to just quickly touch on the part of like social media and like how you're saying that like maybe moving past people, that's something like when I got into comedy I realized it was very strong. I got into comedy and Matt Rife had just like blew up, and he had done that all for just like being a sort of local comedian that like people knew, and like they like doing it, all of a sudden they start like he was like a person at his local comedy club, and they see his
yeah,
TikTok clips, and all of a sudden he sells out a world tour in 3 days.
wow,
Yeah, just because all these TikTok clips, and I was thinking about that at first, and I was uploading some stuff that is it's a lot rarer now that I'll upload something onto social media, just because I want to get to a point where I've gathered enough content that I could start uploading jokes, and that's not the same jokes you're going to see if you come to see me live.
Yeah.
Um, but and then like the stuff with like coming across it when I was younger. I mean, the internet was far from as restricted a place back then as it is now. Like I grew up with sort of
Yeah.
like raw, as you can see whatever the fuck you want internet,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I had a wee bit, like I had a laptop and I'd sit there and I'd watch like Minecraft YouTubers, like people playing with like Mario plushies and stuff like that, and I was just like, and I got my auntie to make a YouTube account, but like my agreement was my mum that couldn't put my face in it or anything
Yeah.
because she didn't want nonsense coming after me.
Aye. I mean, I can understand that, like, because I've got like, aside for this, I've got like a Thomas the Tank Engine channel because like that was always been my passion ever since I was young. And one of the videos that I'd done was they've got a new version of that out, and it is utter dog meat, but it's marketed for
Mhm.
kids that were around my boy's age at the time. I thought I'm gonna treat
Yeah,
them like lab rats. I'm gonna like film them watching it and see what they think of it and talk to them about it. Like, and they love doing it. They love just having that time with me. But my wife was like, "Yeah, we'll give you one more, but if you ever to put them on film again, I will fucking kill you." And I was like,
yeah,
okay. I was like, I understand. I was like, I do understand that. But you do as much as you can to protect it. But and the same deal. I was like, I grew up in the days of LimeWire. I went through
yeah.
about I went through about three like fuel system restores from that bugger, just trying to get like one Avenged Sevenfold song. Well, and it's like Jesus Christ, man. Like, so I can understand. Like, you were coming in it when it was just the restrictions were just
Yeah,
happening, and we are
like
like,
live leak and all that. You seen some amount
yeah.
of gory shit in the internet when I was a wee guy. Two Girls, One Cup, and all that sort of stuff.
Oh
That's just
my god.
people in your childhood, and it's like something that your big cousin shows you when you're 9, and you're like,
I remember like that. I didn't see that until because I was 20s at that point, like early 20s. My mates had told me about this, and I was like, okay, right. But I only knew the title, and I was like, right, let's see. I would have been one of those ones that had, like they'd call that the reaction videos now. See me watch it going, what the? Well, and just absolutely freaking out at everything that was going on. Well, it's so weird, like like that, like you're that age, like 9, 10 years old, and you're getting exposed to that, and I'm in my 20s, and I'm like, holy shit, this is just mental,
yeah.
man. Well, but so something I wanted to get, let's see if you realize this from a younger perspective, because counting comedy gigs. Do you have any idea how that came about, where people like use that essentially as like dick measuring of comedy? We're like, I've done 80 gigs. Well, I've done this amount of gigs. And I'm like, did someone tell you to do that? Or was it just a case of like, maybe I should start tracking it because other people are doing it? Like, I always try and find out other people's processes of how they come out with things. Like, because I'm always like, I'm way too far behind with this crap, but I'm interested to see why people do it.
Well, from my perspective, so essentially, I wasn't counting gigs. I was maybe recording a gig here and there just so you can look back in it. But and then like people were like keeping count of gigs, and I seen that there was people that were just like they had goals, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this amount of gigs by this time,
Yeah.
and that means that you're getting in all the relevant experience. So I just seen like even if I'm not like setting goals like that for myself, then it's still useful to be able to keep track of like, all right, this is a set that I've done at this time. I've done this many gigs since then. This is where I'm at now. What's improved since then? What can I improve on in the future?
Yeah.
It's good to get a better perspective like that. And then also you've got people like I remember I was asking to get on a gig, and the guy said he liked me, but he doesn't typically bring in people that have done less than 100 gigs. So as soon as I'm up to about that number, then he'd bring me on, just because it's a thing of experience. And I know it can be a bit of a pain in the ass because there could be somebody that's done 200 gigs that isn't half as good as this person who's done 50.
Yeah.
But it's just is a thing like stuff is naturally going to come with experience. You're going to learn how to handle situations differently and better. And if you're booking for like a weekend show or something like that, you want to know that somebody's got the experience under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's just a good thing to be able to keep track of, not only for yourself, but to like let other people know your progress.
Yeah. I mean, like from my side, like doing stand-up comedy for me is something that I'll just, if I get asked, I'll do it, and I'll just dabble in and out, because like doing the media side of it, the media company's the priority for me. Like, obviously being a dad, but it's a different kind of perspective for you. But what would you say is like, because you always have those kind of gigs where you go, right, I think I've got it now. Not in the case of that you're all of a sudden you've ascended and all this crap, but you're like, okay, I'm there. Like, you know, I've got that kind of, well, I've had that gig where I can safely say I'm a comedian now. Mine was where I died in my arse, well, but survived the gig and survived to tell the tale afterwards and went back. And I was like, okay, I can now say that I've got some stand-up material there. I know what works. I'm all good. What would you say was your kind of like, you know, we'll call it a sink or swim moment. What would you say was that?
Um, well, I mean, what you're saying about going into a place and bombing, and like, I think that is such an important experience for somebody to have, because I remember like I did like pretty decently well my first few gigs, and then I maybe got about 10, 15 gigs in, and I did a gig in Edinburgh, and it was this whole tourist crowd, and obviously I don't know, my bit at the moment is very sort of Glasgow based, because that's what I know.
Yeah.
That's why like but yeah, no, I completely died on my arse. Took the same set somewhere else. It did really well, and I was just like that. Oh no, this is really about perspective. I mean, if a bit keeps falling on its arse over and over again, it's a shit bit. But then, like a lot of things can be to do with perspective, and then I think like the sort of sink or float moments for me, it just becomes with like I remember like around about that time I started counting gigs. That's when I could like go do a 5 anywhere, no notes, no nothing, and I could just spit that out, and then like a 10, and then I'm like getting to the point. I've done my first 20 recently. That was a big thing for me.
Brilliant, man. Well done.
I've still got the wee note on my desk, which was like the short list or the jokes that I
Oh,
wanted to
nice.
tell.
I just love like because it like the camera kind of took a wee bit to settle. You know the bit that actually focused in on where the words gay bar. And I'm like, okay, right. There's plenty of notes that can be around that one. But that's also very interesting as a wee sneak peek for us. Because I see guys, but you know, what they've got their phones or they've got their notepads and they're constantly scribbling. Like, and I can be the same as well sometimes just with like my phone if I'm like 3 in the morning. Crap, I've just thought of something really good.
Yeah,
Dot,
no,
dot,
that
dot, dot,
happens to
dot.
me all the time.
What? But yeah, like so how would you say like your style was then? Like if you're like I've got a set in my head and then you just write it down as like for example gay bar, like, and in your head you know it'll take like maybe 5-10 minutes to do that bit, or like or 2-3 minutes depending on what it is, and then carrying on for the next bit. Is that kind of like what your process would be, where you got like there's your bullet point, I know where I'm going from there because I've done it so many times?
Yeah, like I can go up and do like a 10 without my notes and just kind of riff it from the jokes that I know, as
Yeah.
long as I just keep an eye on my time. But like when it does come to something like that, when I'm trying new material or anything like that, like my bullet points are jokes, and I'm not a storyteller at all. It really is kind of like just
Ah,
jokes.
right.
So and then I keep each joke as like a bullet point. So I've got like silent wank, fun fact, toe cross, 1 mil, suck dad chlamydia, 1v1, garlic mayo, therapy, square sausage, Star Wars, Mario, glory hole, like
Yeah, the thing,
all
like,
the
see,
random.
even you reading those notes, that's bloody hilarious because people were like, all right, what? This is fucking interesting. It was like
See
dad
when you
quote. Yeah.
see when you look at some of the comedians like bullet points, like the wee reminder, the joke they have to, and it needs to be the most absurd part about the joke that you write down because that's what triggers the memory.
Yeah.
But it's just like, see if I just sat here and wrote a joke and then I like kind of forget in the middle of the sentence and look down, I'm gonna be sitting there like fucking like
Yeah.
reading it. Like I need a couple of words that
Mm.
remind me of the joke.
Yeah. And there's loads of things around nowadays. You know, it's like there's different kind of comedy courses, like, and there's all this kind of stuff. Like,
Ultra
well,
comedy.
yeah.
Shout out to Viv G.
There was that ultra comedy that you done.
Um, one earlier this year I didn't complete it
Yeah.
because I got told it was 40 quid for the lessons, and I was like, 40 quid a lesson, fuck's sake, I'm not going back. Turns out it was 40 quid for all the lessons.
All
Five a
right.
lesson.
Right. So were you planning on going back to it?
No, I mean I was planning on going back to it, but then at that point when I thought it cost all that money, I was just like that patchy, I'm getting along myself. And I had been getting along myself. But
Mm.
it would have been cool to play at the Rotunda right before they shut down the comedy club in there.
Yeah. I mean, how did you find it? Like just going on the course for the time that you did?
It's a very insightful course. It really does do a good job of teaching you the fundamentals of comedy and how you should start thinking to come up with jokes. Because I only went to the first few lessons, but even then, it teach you things like, or like something that's very commonly used in comedy is like you can start like thinking about something that you love. So like, I'll start thinking about something that you hate, like how you hate potholes in the road. This isn't going to be funny, by the way. I'm just trying to explain the premise.
Yeah.
Like how you hate potholes in the road, and like you just sit there and you find the way to write about it. It's like, I love potholes so much, and like that's sort of sarcastic way, and it's just like just talking about something you don't like as if you like it, and then comparing it to something is a sort of like concept of comedy, like comparisons and false tone.
Mm.
That was one of the big things they taught at the start, but I don't remember it after that. But I mean, if that's what they were getting at first, then I imagine it only got better for that.
Mm. Oh, they're talking about, well, there's things like, by the time this recording comes out, it'll be the start of 2024. So we'll be going into the new year. So what would you say, like, for 2024 for you yourself? What is the kind of a thing where you're like, I want to hit that over 2024 if I can get it? That's one of my goals.
Well, I think I might be able to reach 100 gigs before 2024. I'm not going to push it though, because there's like Christmas, New Year break sort of area, but it's like I'm not going to be gigging during that time. But I feel like in January I'll hit 100 for sure. And then in March, I've got 2 dates at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival, split bill with Tasha Mark, called Young Team.
Nice one, man. Well done.
I'm hoping to sell that. I'm hoping it's 50-seater rooms. If I could sell those 2 dates out, that would be really cool. That's like a big goal. Like that's not something I'm like, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna make this happen. But it's something I'm like hopeful for. It would be really cool.
Yeah. Well, and in terms of like, like your following and stuff like that, have you got like a good kind of support network around you that are like, encouraging the comedy, but also wanting to make sure that you're all right when you're going into it?
Yeah, no, I mean a lot of the comedians in the Scottish circuit are great guys and girls. Wonderful people. Like and I feel like when you're going about and you're gigging a lot and people like notice you and they talk to you and your sound, then all of a sudden it's just like a whole new thing. Like I think one of the moments that I realized that it was sort of that it was sort of working out for me, the sort of comedy stuff, is the fact that like when I realized I wasn't really needing to sign up for gigs anymore, or I wasn't going on the forums that much, just because through knowing people you just get gigs like that.
That's quite cool, man. At least you've got like that kind of support around you for it. Are you going to take Glasgow comedy this year and see if that can lead you to getting your own kind of solo spot in the Fringe for 2024?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll do a solo spot this year for the Fringe. I'm thinking about running the split bill through March and then through August at the Fringe, and then maybe running a solo show 2025.
So that's like your goals then. That's we've managed to figure out the goals for you, where you're gonna go. So by that point you'll be coming up in what,
19.
19 by that point.
I'll be 19 for the comedy festival and the Fringe on 2025, but as soon as the Fringe ends I'll turn 20. Yeah.
But that's something that you can be like, right, when you get to 20, like I've ticked this off, like I've done this and I've done this. Well, and that's pretty cool, man. I mean, my goal, like I'm closer to I'm at the back end of the 30s. I'm heading towards 40. And the one that I'm wanting to do is I want to at least say I've done the Fringe by 40. It doesn't matter if I'm just going around doing like, a 2-minute or a 5-minute or literally just walking on a stage and going, hey, I made it. I'm on a stage at the Fringe. Bye. And heading off. Just something that I can go, right, I've finally done it. Because you always seem to find, like, when you get older, those things become the rope around your neck where people are like, you haven't done the Fringe at your age. What? And I'm like, aye, because most of the time I'm broke and I'm fucking got massive social anxiety. Getting on the train there is a big step. Just trying to get there. But how have you found, like, like the kind of the mental kind of aspect of it? Like constantly going to the gigs, constantly traveling, constantly being like, are you just like I'm riding the wave, I'm loving it, or have you felt any burnout from it yet?
I mean, sometimes in moments you will just get a wee bit like, especially with like going to Glasgow, Edinburgh, and all that sort of stuff. It can be a bit of a pain in the arse sometimes, but I think I just get carried through it with the atmosphere and the people of the scene, because I think comedy's probably been one of the releases from more stressful times in my life. Like, I had a really fucking bad year in 2021. Terrible, terrible, horrible, horrible year.
Yeah.
And then I started doing stand-up the year after that, and I don't know, things just started feeling a lot better.
That was your release from it, like, with all the crap that had happened. Like, and I can understand that, because like I took not well like 2020, 2021. Like, and the thing that came out of this was the show, was the media company, like, and all that started thriving, where everybody was like, I was stuck indoors and this was a nightmare. I was like, I chose to go indoors and create something, like, and all of a sudden people were like yourself, like, what's the term, sliding in the DMs? What, we're like, can I come on the show? Aye, cool. What?
Yeah.
Something as simple as that. What? And it's so funny because I can say things like that now. I go, yeah, somebody slid in my DMs to get in the show. You're actually the second person that done that. Laura Quinn Go, who was in the comedy scene up here for a wee while. She was the first one to do it, and I was like, the second my wife found out, she was like, so some lassie slid into your DMs. What the fuck? And I'm like, whoa, let's get clarification here, just to be safe. But yeah, because we are like going to be starting to come up in time for, you know, when the show's going to wrap and stuff like that. Fire out all the socials for where you're going to be, what, and where they can find you, so you can keep getting more and more gigs. So sell it, my friend.
So, Mick stand up on Instagram, Michael McElhinney on Facebook, Mick stand up on TikTok. On the highlights from Instagram, you'll find the tickets for my Glasgow Comedy Festival show on the 22nd and the 29th, both Fridays, 10:30 p.m. March next year. For my split bill with Tasha Mott, another great comedian. And I just wanted to touch on the mental health thing that I was speaking about, because you were saying that you wanted to ask me about that. So I guess the closing like notice that I want to say on that is, like, I think one of the best things you can do for your mental health is to have a purpose. When you find something that you're passionate about, something that gives you some sort of a meaning and a reason, like, oh, like I need to get to this goal. Like, you feel like you need to do that, as one of the best things you can do for your mental health, because it's one of the easiest ways to not focus on this distraction, that distraction, and just power ahead with what you want to do. So that's my wee closing note. Thank you very much for having me.
No, I really appreciate it, man. And obviously that is the one piece of advice that I would ask you to give anybody that's struggling with mental health, like, is finding that goal. And a lot of people struggle with that, like, because when you're at, I mean, you'll know it yourself when you had, you know, your blip, when I had mine, when you're in that place, nothing feels like an achievable goal. You're down and you're down, you're out. You're like, it doesn't matter what anybody says to you. You're like, you're fucked. There is nothing. But once you finally get that little break where you're like, okay, I can start seeing a light and digging out, that's when you try and find the goal, and you try and find where you're going, what you're going to do next. Then you build on that and create another goal, then create another one. So when you have those steps again, it's easier to get there and it's easier to get back. But Michael, man, like, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. Like, I'm wishing you nothing but success with your stuff. Like, obviously, I did check out like your reels and all that kind of stuff. Like, you're a really funny guy. Like, and you've got like that bedrock of confidence about you that a lot of people that were kind of from my generation wish that we had when we were your age. I am that old man that will say that when I was your age, I wish I had that. Like, you know, that Still Game quote where they're like, if I was at your age, I'd be out shagging everything that moves. it's like
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been watching Still Game.
Still Game's absolutely brilliant, man. But it's one of those ones that, like, instead of like it being the whole, if I was your age, I'd be out shagging everything that moves, I'd be like, if I was you, well, if I had to do that time again, I probably would go through everything the same. Otherwise, I wouldn't be who I am. But I just wish I had that little bit more confidence in myself where I could be like, right, nah, if things aren't going well for me, fuck it, get out. Well, or if things are going well, fuck what you say, I'm going for it. And you've got that about you, man. You've got that confidence on you. You've got a good stage presence, like, from the stuff that I've seen. And I'll be in your corner rooting for you. You're going to do great, man.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, man. That means a lot.
Yeah. So until next time, everybody, I've been Andrew Durnan. That's been the brilliant Michael. And say your last name so I don't butcher it, because I don't want to be like going, I butchered your last name, I apologize.
Michael McElhinney. Just call me Mick Mac.
Mick Paddy Whack.
That's literally why I go by Mick Mac, because people will struggle with my second name.
Yeah, I mean, I've got that as well. Like, when my wife, like, when she became out, I went, "You're gonna have to change your middle name to how do you spell that?" Because that's what you're just used to. Is like Andrew Durning. How do you spell that? Fuck, just change my name. Just change it. I tried to convince her
Yeah,
not to take it because it was her maiden name was Kennedy. I'm like, can I
yeah,
just take your name? It'll be so much fucking easier. But nah, but I had to stick with mine because traditions and that pish.
mm,
But man, like, again, very well done to you. I hope you do what all the things that you're going to do. What let me know if you're on the fringe and that, and I'll do my best to get along. Because that's my goal for next year. What to try and get along to it.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep. So until
Thank you
next
for
time,
having me.
it's
I
been a
hope you have
pleasure,
a
man.
wonderful. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Right.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye bye.